Hello everyone, welcome to my June 2017 haul video. Welcome back to another haul video. June is kind of a big month in the calendar year for me because it is my birthday month, and this year I turned the big 30 years old, so I got quite a few things in the month of June. The first two things I have here are gifts from my friend Curtis, who has made a couple of appearances here on the channel. And the first thing is a book by Chuck Klosterman titled I Wear the Black Hat. The next is a book, Iron Man, the kind of biography of Tony Iommi, or at least his time as the guitarist for Black Sabbath. And this is very interesting because I've always been a big fan of Black Sabbath. The next group of books that I have are all used books that I pick up. I frequently buy used books because, like I recommend to people, check out your local used bookstores because you never know what you're going to find, especially books like this. This is all I need to know about filmmaking I learned from The Toxic Avenger by Lloyd Kaufman and James Gunn, and an introduction by Roger Corman. This is pretty awesome find. I kind of can't believe I found this. I'm kind of super pumped about it. For those of you who are not familiar with Lloyd Kaufman and the films that he's been doing for decades now, they're super low budget. They're lower than B movies, but man, they are a lot of fun. And Lloyd Kaufman is just a weird, cool guy. Next is a book titled Napalm and Silly Putty by the comedian George Carlin, the late great George Carlin. He is one of my favorite comedians of all time, and I'm working on getting all of his books that he wrote. Just an amazingly funny comic that I really wish was still around today. Next up are a couple of hardcovers, the first being Dennis Lehane's Live by Night, which was just made into a movie directed by Ben Affleck and starring him as well. Next is a book by Dan Brown titled The Inferno, which was just coincidentally also turned into a movie that was done by Ron Howard. It is part of the Robert Langdon trilogy of films, if you will, starting with Da Vinci Code and continuing with The Angels and Demons and Inferno. And the third thing here is more of an art book, and that is The Art of the Return of the King, which has a lot of great concept art and just beautiful images. For those of you who don't know me, Lord of the Rings is my favorite film of all time. They are just something that is near and dear to my heart, so I always like to pick up things like this from that trilogy. The next three things that I want to show you are gifts from my brother. This year I decided to keep with the tradition of him keep buying me complete series television shows on Blu-ray with Freaks and Geeks, the complete series. And this is one of those shows that is a one-season wonder. What is interesting about this set is that you get the show both in its original aspect ratio and also widescreen, which is very interesting and unique, and I'll definitely delve into that when I do a closer look at this in another video. The next thing he got me was the Blu-ray of Ride the High Country put out by Warner Archive. This is a Sam Peckinpah Western from the 1960s. The 60s is an interesting time for not only American cinema, but for the American Western. It went through a lot of changes, and Sam Peckinpah was one of the reasons why. And the third thing, but certainly not the least of all the gifts from my brother, is the Before Trilogy Criterion Blu-ray set. These films are just extraordinary. I've already done a closer look video of discussing the films as well as the insides of this set. Next, I want to go over some of the comic books that I picked up in the month of June. The first being Book 2 or Volume 2 of Preacher, written by Garth Ennis. This is a great comic book series. It's very dark, very brutal, very awesome, and there is also an AMC television series currently airing about it, and I highly recommend people reading this and checking out that series. The next are 3 individual issues. I usually don't discuss individual issues on here because I don't pick up many of them, but I thought this was a special occasion because these are the variant hardcover editions of Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, in these kind of cool penciled covers that I think are just amazingly well done. Sorry for the glare. I hope that many of you can actually see this, but if not, I apologize, but yeah, these are just fantastically well done. This is issue 4, and I also have issue 6, which is just a great photo here. Also, I have issue 7. There is a total of 9 issues in the run, so I have to get my hands on a few more. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7, so I am definitely missing 5, 8, and 9. So those I do have to get, because I'm a completist, and it'll drive me crazy if I never do. Next up are 2 Criterions that I picked up in the month of June. Fortunately, they were on sale, and the first one is Ghost World, that I actually bought myself on my birthday. This is directed by Terry Swigoff, who is a really good director that I have become a fan of over the years. But this is a great film starring Thora Birch and a young Scarlett Johansson, and this is actually based on a comic book as well. I highly recommend people getting their hands on that if you can, and also watching this movie. Next is the film They Live by Night, directed by Nicholas Ray, and this was actually his first film, his directorial debut. He is mostly well known for directing the film Rebel Without a Cause, which is a film that I love so much, and I'm really hoping to do a Blu-ray review of that one soon. If you want to see anything I have here in a more in-depth form, please let me know. I'll do videos on them as soon as possible. Next up, I have the DC animated film Justice League New Frontier. This is one of the earlier DC animated films. There are quite a few now. I believe they're closing in on 30, I want to say. And this was one that was very early on, as based off of the graphic novel DC New Frontier by the late Darwin Cook. I highly recommend reading that as well as watching this. It is a very interesting film in the sense that we get a kind of golden age look at all of the members of the Justice League. Finally, the last group of things I have to show you are all steelbooks. I'm not a huge buyer of steelbooks because they tend to sell out very quickly, and I never get my hands on them, especially exclusives to Best Buy or Target. And the first up is Power Rangers, the 2017 movie that I actually like. I did a separate review of this. I'll put a link below in the description. This film pleasantly surprised me. Next is another film that I've actually done a review of this year, and that is the Lego Batman film, which I really liked a lot. I also did a review of this, so please check that out as well. This was a Best Buy exclusive that I was very fortunate to get on the day it came out. The next up is a rebuy of John Wick, the Steelbook edition. This came out the same day as John Wick 2, and I saw both of these together on the shelf at Best Buy, and I couldn't not buy them. They just looked so damn good. I had actually planned on buying the 4K edition of John Wick 2, but once I saw this, and just how awesome it looked, I couldn't pass it up. So that has been my haul video for June 2017. If you like this video, please check out the other videos on my channel.